Well, hello there. Come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. And short of that, maybe just like me. Like me. Use the like button. I'm Bob Harris, senior editor of footballdiehards.com. Welcome to the Saturday Ask Me Anything. Ask me anything. See if I care. Hello, everybody. Hello, JR. Hello, M. Taryn. Hi, Steve. Hi, Scott. Remy, Andrea, nice to see you. Dame, thanks for coming. I appreciate everybody being here. We'll get into questions here momentarily. Good morning, Rick, Iron Eddie, Joe Herbert, A Bear, alive and kicking. Yes, boy, it's been a week. I'm just going to tell you the internet issues here. So hopefully everything will hold up. I hope I sound okay. That was an issue last week, huh? I think we're all good now. So doing this over the hotspot. The cable guy is going to come here in about an hour. So hopefully everything holds up and we make it through this without any glitches or issues. Again, Bob Harris, senior editor, footballdiehards.com. You know me from the Football Diehards radio program, perhaps, on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. You can listen to that like 5 different days a week, or listen to me anyway. Football Diehards are on Monday from 10 to 1 a.m., Thursday, 10 to 1 a.m., Friday, 10 to midnight, Saturday. We're on 8 to 11 tonight, so tune in for that if you get a chance. We will be on the NFL radio and the Fantasy Channel. Call in, have questions. We'll have Eric Moody from ESPN join us tonight. I had a great show last night. Drew Davenport from Football Guys, great guest. So plenty going on. Also, tune in tonight on this very channel for Jamie Calandro and Eric Romoff doing our DFS lineup show, talk about ownership percentages and all that great stuff. And also, I'm here every Wednesday night as well with a hot seat, we're calling it, on the hot seat with Bob Harris. Hot. Because I'm super hot, obviously. So week 9 is here. Got a few newsy things we'll just touch base on. I know you're all eager to get into your questions, and I am eager to get into them as well, because questions are what we're here for. But Jonathan Taylor ruled out for this week's game. Deion Jackson lined up. They just promoted a couple of their usual suspects from the practice squad. Jordan Wilkins they added, but also Phillip Lindsay. They traded for Zach Moss earlier in the week. Other trades, as you know, Chase Claypool traded to the Bears. TJ Hawkinson traded the Vikings. Kareem Hunt not traded at all. Wasn't that odd? A handful of guys not traded that wanted to be traded, including Cam Akers. We'll see if he plays tomorrow for the Rams. Still a little up in the air. Cooper Kupp will play. Derrick Henry off the injury report. Great news. Austin Eckler off the injury report. Great news. A lot of people ruled out, so we have some clarity on situations. And, you know, we hate the mysteries, right? Hate the mysteries. Nobody likes that. Anyway. Let's get into the shenanigans here, because I see the questions are piling up, and I don't want to fall behind in case there are issues. So we'll start with Steve. QB question from Steve Atwood, a fellow drummer. Drummers get priority here. Everyone knows that. QB question: with most of the Chargers receiving core down, is Herbert still? I'm like calling him like Joe's name. Is Herbert still a good starter? Should I go Geno? I'd be fine starting Geno. Honestly, I'm not that dialed back on Herbert. It's a great matchup. There are other pieces there, including Josh Palmer, who I'd be eager to play if I had that opportunity. Austin Eckler can do a great job. Gerald Everett also in the mix. So there's enough pieces, and I think I would still play him. But Geno Smith has been rock solid, right? I don't see how you can go against him. Check out my DFS 3 and out column this week. Tournament 3 and out column, and you'll find Geno is highlighted there. Cardinals have been struggling against quarterbacks in recent weeks, so I wouldn't go. I mean, I don't think there's a wrong answer here for you, Steve, but I think you're leaning Geno, and I think that's a fine play. Scott Hedge, good morning, sir. I love it when people call me sir. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. I'm fine. By the way, did you subscribe to this channel? That's right. Subscribe button. Like me, dislike me, all those things. We want to feed the algorithm. Good morning. So Scott Hedge wants to know Patterson in Arizona Condon updates. No Patterson updates yet. They will come today. There's kind of been some reporting suggesting that he won't go this week. It's a great matchup against the Chargers for whoever's running the football there, right? So eager to play, guys. If you're looking to get that last good game out of Tyler Algier, that'd be great. Maybe you're leaning on Caleb Huntley. There are 6 teams on bye this week. I guess I probably should have mentioned that, right? I mean, that's kind of a big deal. So that might be an issue for you. The Browns, Cowboys, Broncos, Giants, Steelers, 49ers all on bye. missing a lot of Christian McCaffrey this week. So, so if that's an issue, Caleb Huntley, look, even if Patterson's back and, you were in a pinch, I think any of those three guys, Cordero said this week that, there's room for all three. I don't know if there really is. There's not the ideal room. We'd like different amounts of room. We'd like, one guy getting most of the work. But we'll see about Patterson. Should know later this afternoon, Scott. If you check the website, I'll have that information. They have to make that. Oh, James Robinson is ruled out due to a knee injury. I think he's ruled out. Well, that's crazy. Let me just double check this information as it comes right in. They downgraded him. Did they downgrade him to rule him out? What's going on, Adam Schefter? Anyway, that's something to watch for. Good news for Michael Carter shares. We'll look into that as we go along. Can't deal with the breaking news here, but that is breaking news. Hi, Andrea. And Cousins revenge game versus Washington, or Geno versus Arizona, round 2. Geno didn't do much against them a couple weeks ago. No, but he's okay. So Robinson is questionable, so he's not out. Adam Schefter with your vague tweeting. Tom Pelissero to the rescue. All right. Anyway, James Robinson questionable. Like we were all waiting for that news. So Geno didn't do much against them in the last game. I will grant you that, right? But things have changed a little bit. I just, there's some numbers I have here. I want to say, look, last 2 weeks, they've combined 50 fantasy points, Andy Dalton and Cousins over the past 2 games. So, I mean, look, I think this offense is solid. I'm not against Cousins either. I think it's a good matchup for him as well. Just check the rankings here and see what the difference is. Because I think they're both in the top tier. So, and again, kind of talk about this a lot just to reiterate. So we have Geno Smith at 10, Cousins at 11. Pretending that I can report with any clarity or predict with clarity that one is going to finish ahead of the other would be obviously disingenuous of me, so I won't do that. They're right there. So if you have a leaning, I guess that's what my point is, Taryn. If you have a leaning, and it feels like you don't, your hunch is that Geno didn't do much against him a couple weeks ago, so maybe he won't again. If that's the case, he's perfectly suitable to play Kirk Cousins. By golly. Steve Linder, hello. PPR, need to fill one wide receiver for this week. Tyquan Thornton versus Colts, Matt Collins versus Jacksonville, or Alex Pierce versus New England. Ew. No Devontae Parker for the Colts. I'm probably going Thornton. And Alex Pierce would be kind of my default. I think Matt Collins is perfectly serviceable, right? I mean, kind of like at this point, would you rather play Matt Collins or Hunter Renfrow? Like, I can't believe that's even a question. I feel horrible asking. Anyway. No Devontae Parker. I think I'm leaning that way. Alex Pierce, do I really want to play Sam Ehlinger's pieces against a Bill Belichick team? I don't know. I feel like he always, maybe it's just like the reputation, is greater than the actual facts, but I don't know that it is. Bill Belichick, tough against young quarterbacks. So I'm probably going to avoid Alex Pierce a little bit, not like he's going to. They're an impenetrable wall of the Patriots defense, but I'm going to take a shot on Thornton here. I think you're kind of taking a shot on all of them. Happy football weekend. And by the way, the rankings would probably call for Pierce, so let me just verify that for you. And I mean, I wouldn't talk you out of Pierce if that was your leaning. Yeah, the rankings like Hollins and Pierce better. So maybe I'm missing the boat on Pierce. One of the things, the coverages in Jacksonville may favor Hollins a little bit, but I'm probably taking a shot on Thornton. It's just a little hunchy, Steve. So go ahead. I think all three are, kind of just outside our flex level rank, or our wide receiver 3 ranking. So they're all in the same basket. Good morning, Shadi Bazzi Bob. Thank you. I am a man. Tough call here. Bench one of these: Evans, Olave, Palmer, or Lazard. I go ahead. It's not that hard for me. I go ahead and bench Lazard, not because I don't think he's going to do great and it's a great matchup, but if I have 3 other players that I like a lot and all 3 of them are not injured and one of them, the 4th one is, Lazard questionable. Maybe the decision is made for you before the game, but that would be my, kind of how I break it out, right? So I like all of them. I like all 3, Evans, Olave, and Palmer, slightly better than Lazard anyway. But, the questionable designation coming off the shoulder injury, I kind of think Lazard's going to play. It's a great matchup, so I get it. But I'd probably play it a little safer because those other options are fantastic as well. QB question from Remy. I have Geno Smith as my starting quarterback. Justin Fields and Deshaun Watson are on waiver wire. Who should I keep rest of the season if I can only drop my starting quarterback? I'd be perfectly fine playing Smith the rest of the season. I like Justin Fields. Seems to be definitely on the rise. If you like Justin Fields, you like him because of that rushing equity. And, we're all after the cheat code, the Konami code quarterbacks. And he's becoming one of them. I think I want to say he's run for at least 70 yards in each of his last 4 games. So there's something to be said for that. If I did one, like Watson might be great. He might not be great. You're not going to get him until the week 13. Was he great in the preseason? I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. I have some shares of Watson, and I'm thinking that they may end up being kind of wasted roster spots when all is said and done. But maybe I'll be totally wrong. I would rather play one of the playable commodities. Geno Smith is. Well, he was the October player of the month for a reason, and he's been playing extremely well, has good weapons around him. I don't think it's a mirage. I think halfway through the season, we could say he's the real deal. But I do think Fields is ascending. But watch this. Go to the footballdiehards.com website. I work there. It's great. And check out the ease of schedule under the resource tab. And you will find that he has a really favorable schedule the next few weeks, does Justin Fields, and then it gets really hard towards the end of the season. So watch that. EOS on your resource tab. Footballdiehards.com, the website. It's great. Good afternoon, Darth Tua. I like that. Rick, PPR, start David Montgomery versus Miami. If some of you are noticing that these people are asking questions like Rick with a full name and an opponent, know that I appreciate that. And thank you all for doing that. David Montgomery versus Miami, Khalil Herbert versus Miami, or A.J. Dillon versus Detroit. It would be one of the Chicago backs. Take your pick. I think we ranked them consecutively, I want to say, this week, and I'm not against. I think that's perfectly reasonable. So we have Montgomery 21, Herbert 22. I think they're ranked that way mostly because we, just kind of, for me, you have 2 guys, and both of them are capable. Both of them are going to split time. The hot hand's going to get probably get more work. And who gets the first chance to get the hot hand? It's the starter. For right now, it's Khalil Herbert. I'm not against the Dillon matchup against him, and he's ranked right there at the bottom end of the running back too, just behind Montgomery and Herbert. I thought last week was like encouraging for Dillon, but just I haven't seen the workload I expected, so a little bit of a disappointment there. So I'd play them in the order that you have them listed, and if you had a hunch on Khalil Herbert, who has been, super explosive and looked really good and fewer touches, I would not be against that either. Steve Linder, need just one. PPR, Pittman versus New England or CEH versus Titans. Thanks again. I'd probably go Pittman here. I'm not keen, as you heard earlier, on playing the pieces associated with Sam Ehlinger, but I do think Pittman will get volume. Like CEH, you're betting on the touchdown, and he scored a fair amount of them, right? So, I mean... I get, it's a 3-way split there, though. That's my issue. And it's kind of, you're saying Isaiah Pacheco, I think, will continue to be the starter. Jerick McKinnon figured in last week. So the last game, everyone was super excited because Isaiah Pacheco got the start. And I think had the fewest snaps. Clyde Edwards-Helaire did not have the most. Jerick McKinnon had the most snaps. And I think we saw that late last season. McKinnon is going to be a fly in the ointment here, people, and probably a playable commodity. If you look at the playoffs last year, he ended up as the season went on, he gained the momentum. It seems like Andy Reid trusts him and likes, scheming things up. Also, think Kadarius Toney may start diluting some of the opportunities near the red zone if they start coming up with you saw the jet sweeps they used with Mecole Hardman. I think Kadarius Toney's going to get in on that action as well. So anyway, I'm going to go Pittman. It's close enough. If you want to play CEH, I would not blame you. Titans are a great matchup, and New England is not. I know you guys all want black and white. There's no black and white except my shirt, black, white. But other than that, everything is nuanced, and some of this is going to depend on your personal preference. A lot of times I can tell by the question that you have a leaning, or you're just kind of checking to see if your thinking is not way out of line, and almost always it is not way out of line. If it is, I'll tell you. But for the most part, I mean, I think these are pretty tough decisions for a reason, close decisions. So if you have a hunch, don't make me do my hunch rant. I'll do it if you're not careful, but play your hunch and not mine. But, let's talk it through and kind of lay out all the pieces and give you the information you need to make the best decision for you, the winning fantasy manager. All right. Umberto V, if DeAndre Swift is out, Jamal Williams or Boyd and flex, full point PPR. I'm playing Jamal Williams either way. I'm ranking Jamal Williams ahead of Swift slightly. Williams has been good. Even with Swift, I play Williams. I like Boyd too, though. Well, I think we have him ranked really high, higher than I expected. And when I say that, we use an algorithm that comes up and uses various formulations and calculations and opponent strength and pass production from the player and the opponents and many, many things. And then we adjust. I adjust the rankings too, personally. If something doesn't sit well with me. But a lot of times over the course of years, I've learned, don't argue with the algorithm that much because it's probably smarter than me more than often than not. I'm a fantasy manager. Like all fantasy managers, we tend to outsmart ourselves, right? Tell ourselves happy stories about players we like or narratives we think are great. And sometimes the numbers and the facts belie that. Tyler Boyd, currently ranked as wide receiver 16 this week, which I thought was, seemed a little high, but probably not that high. This offense can support, assuming there's some pass protection. And I guess the concern there would be, not being pass protection. But the Panthers are not really great at the pass rush thing. So I'm with you there. But still like Jamal Williams an awful lot. I want to say I have him ranked. That's when I moved a little bit. I fudged that one a little bit. Jamal Williams, 15th ranked running back over the 16th ranked wide receiver would be my choice. Iron Eddie, full PPR, trust Hawkinson after the trade or roll the dice with Isaiah likely Monday night. Maybe we'll know a little more this afternoon, Iron Eddie. Watch the website. The injury report will be out. If we get lucky and not lucky because I have so many shares of Mark Andrews there's no luck involved here if he's ruled out. But let's say Mark Andrews is ruled out, I'd go with Isaiah likely. Otherwise, I'd go ahead and give Hawkinson a shot. I mean, you could probably play likely either way, right? You could likely play likely either way. I think he's going to have a role, but it would obviously be more robust if Mark Andrews is out. Might be, there's always possible Mark Andrews gets hurt in the game or aggravates an injury, all those things. But a lot of people talking about James Robinson in my devices right now, and I appreciate them talking about them and see if anything actually. No, it's nothing new. It's just more people saying the same thing. So don't really trust Hawkinson a lot, but it's somewhat sketchy with likely. Hopefully we gain some clarity here this afternoon. Even if not, I mean, it's not playing likely isn't the worst thing. I'd probably still play Hawkinson if I don't get resolution on Mark Andrews. Jeffrey Cooperman, hello. PPR needs to start one at flex. Hawkinson or Kadarius Toney. Isaiah likely also an option, but if Andrews isn't ruled out by tomorrow's game, it's Monday's game. Yeah. So I mean, I see what you're saying, Jeffrey. So I think I ran through everything, pretty much exactly what I think on the likely situation. Toney, I think, is a totally hunch play. The Chiefs are talking him up. Travis Kelce, he's a beast with the ball in his hands, a lot of things. I'm going to have an article up on the site later today. The site is called footballdiehards.com. You should go there. It's great. And but I think, I think you're kind of, throwing a dart there. I mean, maybe something happens. Like, we're all still intrigued by the big game against Dallas last year where Toney went ham. I mean, just went totally nuts. I want to say 10 catches, 190 yards, 189 yards, something ridiculous. Also got kicked out of that game for punching somebody in the head. But they're working him into the mix. I think I'd give it a week and wait and see. I'd like to give Hawkinson a week to wait and see as well. As I'm thinking, the more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm trying to talk myself into likely being okay to play either way. I'd probably still play Hawkinson here. Is probably the smarter play. But if we get news today, watch the injury report today, Jeff. And we'll see what we find out about Andrews. Has yet to practice this week. Maybe he will get on the practice field. Maybe he will not. Jeffrey needs to start one of these. Romeo Doubs, Darnell Mooney, or Zay Jones. I'm going to probably go Mooney here. Look, I've been as critical as anybody of I am going to. It's really close. It's closer than I thought. Like, I'm kind of a Romeo Doubs stan, if you will. That's what the kids would say. And I like him a lot. We have the Rooney ranked one ahead of him, Mooney ranked one ahead of him. So I'd probably go that way. I do like Dubs. I think Zay Jones, it's a great matchup. I'm really high on Trevor. Did I just combine Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne? Trevor Etienne Jr. What am I doing here? I like Lawrence an awful lot this week. Go check out my DFS 3-and-out column on the footballdiehards.com website. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to that site and you want to get in on it and you just think everything sounds fantastic, because it is, use the promo code Diehards when you subscribe, get a 15% discount. I believe it's already prorated, so you're not paying for the whole season. We're cool like that. Emil Cadlick, he's a good dude. Takes care of you. So anyway, I've been through that, but it'd be Mooney, Dubs, and Jones, and like my hunch is I like Dubs in the matchup a little bit, but no denying Justin Fields is picking up the pace, and this offense is progressing in a way that's impressive. So again, Mooney and Dubs ranked consecutively in our rankings, both of them wide receiver 2 level. So if you like Dubs a little better based on the way you list them, maybe you did, don't hesitate. Super sure somebody already asked this. Nobody asked this, Lucius? Sorry, Luscious. I called you Luscious. If Kamara is suspended, who should I pick up? Ingram's hurt right now. I don't think Kamara is going to get suspended. I don't think there's, the NFL, has the kind of their approach is to wait until in criminal matters, until the criminal matter is resolved to make their case, and this thing is getting pushed out. And so just talked to Drew Davenport last night. He mentioned nothing about this possibility coming up. If you don't, look for Drew on Twitter, and you'll find his threads on the legal status of these things very well. But if it was, I don't think it's imminent, but it would be Ingram, who will probably miss a couple weeks. You're right. Beyond that, I don't know if I'd be that excited about anybody there. I wish they had kept Latavius Murray, right? I want to say they added somebody. They just added somebody. Let me just double check this. I'm old. I forget. Who did they add? Dwayne Washington is already there. I thought they added somebody else. I don't know if Dwayne Washington is really worth a pickup. Might be a target of opportunity. But I don't think I'm getting in the weeds here, but I don't think we're going to see a suspension. But I understand being proactive. So I guess it'd be Dwayne Washington right now because he's the only other guy on the depth chart. Good morning, Stephen. M. Terran, PPR Flex. And thank you all for coming again. I do this every Saturday, noon Eastern time. Just come here and answer questions, try and talk it through. Answer questions is, I say answer questions. Basically, I just want to lay out, I'm not trying to, I give you the answer that I would do, but I just want to give you the most information all the information you need to make the best decision for you, right? Because this is your team. You're all very smart. You've all done great things in fantasy football. You're the experts. I'm just here to help you get there. Flex pit of despair, M. Terran. Hawkinson at Washington, Claypool versus Miami, or Tony versus Tennessee can drop a bench stash of Kyron Williams for MVS versus Tennessee. DeAndre Carter. DeAndre Carter is questionable now with illness. I'm guessing he'll probably play. I'd hate to drop Kyron too because, these league-winning running backs that emerge every year. We see it every season, right? It's nobody. I can go back to the 1990s and think of running backs every year who come on and win people a championship. Last year was Rashad Penny. Nick Goings. Anyone remember Nick Goings? Boy, that's if you have those players available, so if you don't have to drop anyone, I don't know. MVS is a little bit of a crapshoot too, right? Patrick Mahomes has told us it's going to be a different guy every week. We should believe the great fantasy analyst, Patrick Mahomes, because why he's passing the football out. I do think that Chiefs receiving corps seem to have, narrowed down to 3 guys for the most part, MVS, Juju, and Hardman. But now Tony comes in and throws a wrench in the works. Of those 3, I'd probably play Hawkinson. Just, mostly because Minnesota has a need. I know Johnny Munt has been phenomenal. Okay, not phenomenal, but Johnny Munt knows the offense. But in case you missed it, Irv Smith went down to an injury. He's going to miss 8 to 10 weeks, hence the trade. So I'm probably going that direction. I think they'll have some plays for Claypool. I think Matt Eberflus said something like anywhere from 10 to 30 snaps. It's a pretty wide range. And Tony, I mean, again, I kind of like, what I'm hearing out of Kansas City, and they're working him in, but I don't know, just totally feels like a dart toss there. M. Frank, 723. Bob, I've got my choice between running backs A. Jones and Ramondre Stevenson in a trade for my wide receiver, Terry McLaurin. I would take either of those running backs. I'd probably prefer Aaron Jones slightly to Ramondre Stevenson, but just slightly. And I would like either of them more than I like Terry McLaurin. Not because I don't like Terry McLaurin. I think at some point they're going to try and force Carson Wentz back into this lineup, and he seems to not like Terry McLaurin definitely not as much as Taylor Heineke does. So, I mean, I guess that's that's stretching it a little bit, but just trying to think it all the way out through conclusion. I'd probably rather have Aaron Jones. Would I try to get, says Stephen Pavia, Curtis Samuel into a half-point PPR lineup before you have Swift tentatively in the flex? I'd probably keep Swift in there. But I think Curtis Samuel might be a safer play. Honestly, we all not decided DeAndre Swift. I mean, look, super high end, super high upside, right? That ceiling can be really high. The floor can be disastrously low, though. And I'm injury agnostic for players who aren't hurt yet. For example, drafted the hell out of Christian McCaffrey because he came into the season, he wasn't hurt. He was hurt last year. He was hurt the year before. He's not hurt this year. So I'm injury agnostic in that regard, right? Derrick Henry, I was injury agnostic towards, and I'm loving all my shares of him because why? He wasn't hurt to open the season. But let's say it's this week, and neither was DeAndre Swift, right? And so I was drafting him as well, and you probably saw him going in the top 12 in most drafts or somewhere, right outside of round one if he wasn't going at the tail end of round one. And we love that upside. It's a super high ceiling. But, you throw injury agnosticy out the window once someone's hurt, and he is hurt right now. And Dan Campbell said earlier this week, so he had a month off, literally a month, to get healthy. And, this is not a complaint against him. It's just, he's not healthy and he hasn't gotten healthy. He had that month off, a full month, including the bye week, 4 weeks to get healthy. And here he is, not healthy yet. And so, Dan Campbell said after the Dallas game that he gave him too much work. I mean, this is concerning for me. So obviously there are concerns about Swift. Super high upside there. I think if you were totally playing it safe and the rest of your roster was lights out, killing it, and you're just looking to avoid a zero, I'd probably go Samuel, honestly. But it would have to be an extreme circumstance. I mean, I'm playing Swift, but I'm setting my expectations accordingly. Evan Ingram or Isaiah Likely if Andrews doesn't play? You're asking the wrong guy. I'm all about the Evan Ingram. Love Evan Ingram this week. He's been solid, double-digit fantasy points. I want to say 4 straight weeks. He's been really solid. Numbers have all been there. The route participation that all the smart guys look at. They love that. The targets have been there. And I think this is a really favorable matchup this week. I mentioned earlier, I love Trevor Lawrence. Go check out my DFS 3 and out column on the Football Diehards website. All kinds of great stuff on the Football Diehards website. If I can keep forgetting to mention this, it's a really super cool website where you will find currently up the new items up. John Law, the Scholars sheet of DraftKings knowledge for Week 9. Fantastic information there every single week. Brad Cruz, great high stakes player, doing the sit start. His Sunday edition is up and available now. Also, Jamie Calandro. We've got his GPP stacks coming up shortly, but we have his best DraftKings cash game plays. Justin Linero's digging into DFS crates. Got Gary Davenport. Gary Davenport? The hell? Gary Davenport, the Shadow knows, one of the IDP wizards, the old OG of IDP football on the interwebs. And so tons of great stuff. Earlier in the week, we have our waiver wire wizard from Evan Tarciano. Joe Kalana puts out his early injury overview and free agent preview. And, of course, Reginald James with the commissioner stuff. It's fantastic. Also, Matthew Sharon's dollar store free agents, just, bottom of the bin kind of guys that you can pick up for next to nothing. Good stuff there. Tons of stuff, man. Go to footballdiehards.com. Anyhow, back to our previously scheduled programming. J.K. Dobbins going to return this season. Currently on IR. I'm guessing he will return this season. I don't know if it's going to be in time to help us, right? I was thinking about this the other day. Had a tough roster decision to make, and Dobbins was part of that, Mike. And and Dobbins went by the wayside. It was a tough decision. I mean, it wasn't I was, choosing between him and a can of corn. But, I don't know what to expect, right? And And so yeah, got what I want to say at least 2 more weeks. And then after that, they slow rolled him in, and then he had the problem, and then they put him on IR, and he had a procedure. And by the way, I mean, he's on IR for 4 weeks, but the original timetable estimated was 4 to 6 weeks. So I don't have a great feel for this. I think he will return this season. I don't know if he'll return as a viable fantasy commodity. Disappointing season for all of us who invested. Jesse, who would you pick up to play? Darnell Mooney, Garrett Wilson, DeAndre Carter, if playing? I'd go Mooney. Yeah, I want to say on this one. Yeah, I picked up DeAndre Carter, said Stephen Pavia. Would you play him over Hollins or Kirk? I don't know that I would. No. I mean, it's a good target of opportunity. I feel like it's a little reachy. I mean, Kirk hasn't been fantastic. Hollins has been kind of solid, I want to say. God forbid. I should look this up because I feel like you get an impression of players and in your mind, and you should probably sometimes verify. He's a wide receiver 37 on the season. I just want to look at some of the weekly targets here and just see 8, 1, 8, 11, 5, 3, 8. It's been pretty steady. I mean, I'd probably still play him I'd probably play Kirk, Hollins, and Carter in that order. Will Power has a decision to make for his last flex spot. D. Jackson versus New England, Pittman versus New England, or Ronald Moore versus Seattle in half-point PPR. I'm going to go ahead and play Deion Jackson. Again, no Jonathan Taylor this week, in case you guys haven't been following along or you missed the stop of the show. And they did promote just a short time ago Jordan Wilkins and Philip Lindsay from the practice squad. They traded for Zach Moss, so I get it. There's other pieces there. Deion Jackson in the 2 games that Jonathan Taylor has either missed or missed significant time, he's had at least 17 touches, I want to say at least 90 yards. Last game when he started, the first game was Hines started the game but was hurt right away. And then Jackson came on, split pretty fair amount with Philip Lindsay. The last game he started, though, he had, I want to say, caught 9 passes, got all his targets. So I'm going with Jackson. Easy call for me. Donald Arnold, full point PPR, need a flex. Pitts, Terrace Marshall, or Jeff Wilson? I'm going to go ahead and play Pitts and hope for the best. Right? I like Terrace Marshall. He seems to be coming on a little bit, right? And the targets have been there, and PJ Walker was great last week against Falcons. He continued to be great. You know, it took me, a month to get on the Geno Smith isn't a Mirage bandwagon. So PJ Walker, I apologize, sir, if you need a little time for me. But, look, that pass last week, I mean, Patrick Mahomes called it. That's, the best pass. It was the best pass we saw all day, for sure, the touchdown pass to DJ Moore. So, and I like Marshall's workload a little bit, but I'm going to go Pitts here. Jeffrey Cooperman, half-point PPR, need to start one. Godwin, Pittman, Gabe Davis. Come on down, Chris Godwin. I'm not against Gabe Davis, but I mean, I think we've seen, kind of the range of outcomes. It's kind of a boom, bust, feast, famine thing. I will say this. I saw a number, and I think I'm going to have an update up on this today shortly. The numbers are ridiculous. I think over his course of his time with Tom Brady, he's averaged a touchdown every 17 targets or 17 targets, and he's gone 50 plus targets without a touchdown. So touchdowns are a hard statistic to predict, right? But he's due. So I'd play Godwin in this one. Again, Pittman, I'd play him in the order you have him. And I get why you play Gabe Davis. You're playing Gabe Davis for the same reason I am. I want a piece of that Buffalo offense. I want a piece of Josh Allen. It's just there's a lot of people there taking pieces. Stephen Pavia, Fields versus Miami or Stafford versus Tampa Bay. Rams need the game or fall away behind. I'm still playing Fields. Hi, Wendy. Thanks for coming. Jesse Cedillo, currently have London. Would you switch him for Robert Woods, Darnell Mooney, Claypool, Zay Jones, or DeAndre Carter? I would switch him for Mooney. Pretty sure. That's probably it. Good if the rankings agree with me. Even the rankings agree with me. That's horrifying. Andrea needs one. Michael Pittman versus New England. DJ Moore versus Cincinnati. Josh Palmer versus Atlanta. Eno versus Seattle PPR. Boy, what time is that Seattle kickoff? It's late afternoon kickoff. Damn it. There's only 2 late afternoon games, and we've got one of them here. Boy. I'd love to play, Benjamin. I'd love to play him even more if there was no James Conner. I could probably still play him even if there is James Conner. We'll see. I'm starting to think there will be a James Conner. But Seattle's playing pretty tough defense right now, last few games anyway. Just based on the matchups, I might go DJ Moore here. And the amazing PJ Walker fueling his fire. And the rankings even agree with me, Andrea. So there's a odd state of affairs. I love Josh Palmer, though, in this workout. This is a tough question. Because, my hunch is Josh Palmer is going to be really great. I want to say we rank him. We do rank him inside the top 24. So he's a viable wide receiver, too. Pittman is going to get his targets. I just don't. I think my anti-Pittman lean here has been mostly due to. I keep glancing at the rankings to make sure I'm not saying anything totally crazy here and looking at the projections, and I'm not. I'm with that's the order for me, Andrea. More, maybe more Pittman Palmer for me, but I have a little hunch on Palmer as well, and I'm only ruling out because I don't know about Jonathan Carter. Non PPR, should I drop Brian Robinson for Curtis Samuel or Everett for flex? I want to say yes. And I want to say yes because it just seems like, it's as great as Robinson's been, in terms of workload. It's been solid, right? He gets his carries. He didn't get as many last week, right? So I think we're looking at that 2-week stretch, the Chicago Green Bay games, 37 carries, but he doesn't do a hell of a lot when he gets his opportunities. I'd probably rather have Everett this week. And I like Curtis Samuel. Everyone knows I like Curtis Samuel. Gibson or Thornton? Osborne or Thornton. I'm probably taking my shot on Thornton here, but Osborne is the rankings like him slightly better. So I'll go with the rankings on this one because I'm not convicted on it. So go ahead and go Osborne, Wendy. Yes, I do sound much better today. So there was something weird going on, some kind of weird feedback thing. It wasn't any of the equipment or anything we were doing. It was just there was some kind of feedback in our studio system. So we got it fixed. We tested it out later in the day. I'm working off my hotspot right now, which is crazy. My trusty phone is carrying us through this because my cable's broken. Cable guy's coming right after I'm done with this. So hopefully we make it through. Like 2 minutes before we went live, the connection died. My phone died. Crazy. Technology. Anyway, thank you. Shaddy, another one for me. Tua or Geno? I'm playing Tua. I mean, it's hard for me to get away from the guy playing with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. He's been phenomenal. I think they're both good plays. I don't think there's a wrong answer here if you have a really a strong lean. Geno is well inside our top 10. Tua is number 7, though. So it's 7 versus 10. The Chargers promoted Keelan Doss to their active roster, so more wide receiver help there for the Chargers who need it. John Lang needs a flex. Hines versus New York Jets or Lazard versus Detroit. If Lazard is active, I go Lazard there. I just don't know what I mean. They're talking about Hines doing punt return work, and so I don't know what kind of role I'd expect for him in the offense yet. They do like him. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs both raving about his speed, Hines' speed. So. But also talk that they use him as a kick returner. I'd probably give that one a week and play Lazard. Love the matchup for Lazard. A little worried about the shoulder. But if he's back on the field, I'd rather play him than Hines. Andrea, is James Conner playing? I think so. He's been worked on a limited basis all week. Didn't get the ruled out. So, the past few weeks they did it. They didn't rule him out. Mr. Scampers. So happy to see you here. Andrea, is Mark Andrews playing? I don't have a good feeling for that one, Andrea. I'll know more later today. Check the website. My hunch right now, it's, they said he was going to, based on reading the tea leaves, let's say, John Harbaugh, seemed to be optimistic. Maybe he's being overly optimistic. He hasn't practiced yet. So, as things stand now, I would say no. If he gets on the practice field today, Maybe. Leslie, 12-team full PPR. Need one running back. If Connor and Gus don't play, who to start? Benjamin versus Seattle or Kenyon Drake versus New Orleans? Been surprisingly easy to run against the Saints. Justice Hill will still be in the mix. Benjamin against Seattle. So, the problem here is you're not going to know in time. You'll know Connor. You won't know Gus, the Gus side of the equation. Maybe we find out today on him and Andrews both, right? For UA and Andrea. And if they're both ruled out, then this becomes a much easier situation, right? And I think I probably would prefer slightly Drake, but it would be a slightly. Nino's been great. He looks good. Just Seattle defense a little tougher in recent weeks than we've seen. Scampers. Everyone's excited when Scampers is here. Even me. I can hear my cat upstairs. Did I hear Scampers' name invoked? Yes. Ming the Merciless says hello, Scampers. Remy, James Robinson was just downgraded twice and now he's out. Did he get downgraded to out now? I quit paying attention. I'm still seeing questionable. Is it out now? Holy smokes. I'm still seeing questionable, but if he's out, he's out. I wasn't playing him anyway. Neither should you. Mr. Scampers hates the nuance. Everything is shades of gray, Scampers. Dame Overboard needs 2.5 point PPR. Tight end premium. CEH versus Tennessee. Deion Jackson versus New England. I'm going to play Deion Jackson. Again, he's been super good. It's not not my favorite matchup of the week. And I do like Evan Ingram an awful lot. And I've pretty much outlined it. If you haven't caught it, my issues with CEH have nothing to do with CEH. Just three-way split always worries me. He's been getting the touchdowns, so I get it. It seems like a reasonably good play anyway. Let's see. Hello, Troy Olson, voice en fuego. Stephen Pavia. I'm glad I'm not snoring through the podcast. We had a call last night, Ray from New York. We got to him and he was asleep and snoring. I went back to him multiple times. It was a good time. Parker, Terrace Marshall or Khalif Raymond. In this case, Khalif Raymond. Can't see Josh Reynolds playing. He's listed as doubtful with a back injury, so I'll go ahead and go in that direction. I like Terrace Marshall though. I wish I could figure out a way to play him. Zero Destroyer. What's up? Should I go Everett or Ingram at tight end? You should go Everett. I love Ingram though. You should go Everett. That's a smart play. And also, should I go Deion Jackson or DJ Moore at the flex? I'm going Deion Jackson at the flex. Mark Andrews didn't practice today. That's probably not a good sign, Andrea. See, you guys get all the news while I'm doing this thing. I should be doing the news. Half point PPR, Rondale Moore versus Seattle or Jacoby Myers versus Colts, 31st. I feel like, I've been against Rondale Moore. I'm kind of back in his camp a little bit. He has drawn me back in because he's been playing well. But Jacoby Myers is playing extremely well, right? It's been really good. I have an interesting stat on him. I wish I had it at my fingertips. Maybe I do. Where was it? I just thought it was surprising. Only 5 receivers scored more fantasy points over the past 4 weeks than Jacoby Myers. Only 5. Right? When you hear that, seems odd. That's per ESPN. Anyway. So Jacoby Myers for me, please. 12 team, full PPR, 1 running back. If Connor and Gus don't play. Oh, so I think I went through that one. I don't know, maybe you repeated it, Leslie. I'm sorry if I missed it. You've got to wait for me to catch up, people. It takes me time because I'm just grinding through these things. So I think I went through that one pretty well. Edward Hoff, start 1, full PPR. Kirk, Jacoby Myers, or Gabe Davis. Thanks. You probably just heard what I said about Jacoby Myers. I think he's an overlooked commodity. He scored the touchdown last week. I think that was a lot of his production last week, but he's been pretty solid. I noticed this earlier, and so I was looking for stats on him and came up with that one. In this case, they're all kind of in the same range, I want to say, for me. Let me just check the rankings just to make sure where I'm at on this. Somebody's invisible to me. I can't see them. Jacoby Myers, 21 p.m. So they're so close. It's interesting. They're all like consecutive almost. It's 20 is Davis, 21 is Myers, 23 is Kirk. I think I'd rather play Myers myself, but the thing about Davis is what I said earlier. I mean, you want a piece of that Buffalo offense, and the range of outcomes there if you're playing him, right? You want to have some other good commodities in there that you feel really confident that have reasonably high floors. So you don't get caught with a zero because like last week was horrible, right? So I have a number on that last week. Let me just look some pertinent number. Last week was the third time in 5 games Davis did not produce top 50 numbers at the position. So it's totally boom bust there. So I'd probably play the more consistent one myself. But if your roster is constructed in a way that that's not, a big concern for you, go ahead and play Davis. Dame Overboard says, smash the like button, please, people. Do that. Like me. I'm Bob Harris. I like to be liked. If you want to dislike me, hit the dislike button as well. It doesn't matter as long as you hit a button. Also, the subscribe button is great. Also, listen to me on the radio. SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio is where you can find me on Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We do many things there. For instance, Monday night from 10 to 1 a.m., got live look-ins at the game, have great guests. Evan Tarciano comes on, talks about the waiver wire. Thursday nights, we do the live look-ins with the games as well, and that's always a good time. So catch that. Friday nights, we come on from 10 until midnight. Do a great guest segment there every week. Drew Davenport was on last night. Phenomenal. Always have great guests, though. And then Saturday night, NFL radio and the Fantasy Channel simulcast from 8 to 11 p.m. Mike Dempsey and myself. We'll have Eric Moody from ESPN on with us. We do our confidence picks, all kinds of tons of good stuff. I want to say tonight's game of the week is the Miami-Chicago game, but I'm not sure, so I shouldn't say that. But we'll have beat writers from the game of the week and kind of cover the pieces in depth there. And then Sundays, catch me with Jeff Mans from 11 to 1 in the pregame show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Catch me here every Saturday, noon Eastern time, right here. Same bat time, same bat channel. And also on Wednesday night, On the Hot Seat with Bob Harris. A little less question and a little less Q&A, a little more in-depth conversation. We'll be having guests, etc. But here on Saturdays for the questions and nothing but the questions. And the shameless self-promotion like I'm doing right now. Also tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the Football Diehards YouTube channel, Jamie Calandro and Eric Romoff will do their DFS lineup show. They'll go through every damn game, give you all the great matchups and things to look for, talk about pricing and ownership, all the things you need to have great DFS lineups. Tradeaway Camara says Blurpy. Well, there's an argument to be made after a big game. So yeah, if you're in a position to do this and you have a need and you have enough, and like, look, running backs that have emerged this year, it's, you could have gotten Kenneth Walker at a great price. I mean, any number of guys you could have gotten at great prices who are outperforming expectations that will allow you to trade away Kamara after a huge game. So sure. To your league-winning running backs, Arian Foster. Oh, the huge list. Justin Forsett. I mean, we could go back every year. I mean, we go back to the old days. Reuben Drones in Detroit. I mentioned Nick Goings earlier. Who else? Peyton Hillis. I mean, there's always every year there's a guy nobody drafted that comes on and kicks everybody's ass. With us now going into the second half of the fantasy football season, says Jimmy Wilson, do you have any bench stashes you are picking up for possible league-winning upside in the second half of the season, considered full PPR leagues? Kyron Williams was one we talked about a little earlier. I had some others, and they're escaping me at the moment. I should have kept that list. Guys coming off pupless or IRs that might do it. Kyron Williams is the guy that comes to mind. But, I mean, these are, you should have a list. You should be playing it aggressively, looking ahead. Play it a few weeks in advance if you have the room. Kyron Williams, by the way, may come off the the IR list today. There, he's in the window. We'll see. They're trying to work through things with Cam Akers as well. Damn it! I wish I had my list. I'm sorry, Jimmy Williams. I failed you. Kyron Williams is one for me. Just these are speculative plays, though. And that's kind of what we're doing here. Is DeAndre Carter a good flex play this week in a deep league? Yes, George Cook. It's a great matchup and not a lot of weapons. Although they just added one a little while ago, Keelan Doss. Ravi R. I traded Kamara and Waddle for Boyd and Tyreek and Jacobs with the new Kamara coming out. Kamara, Waddle, and Boyd for Tyreek and Jacobs. That seems like a fair deal for everybody. Tank, 1 point PPR. Who would to an open roster spot now that I have lost Chase and Michael Thomas? They take a chance on Terrace Marshall Jr. or Ed Darius Slayton. So I think like Slayton has the floor of this group. Landry, I don't know if he's going to be back this week. That's maybe when you're playing a little bit ahead of the curve there. Terrace Marshall, I like. Just is there enough scoring and bandwidth there for him? I like the workload in previous weeks. Let me see where he's at now. Because let's just say, and this is a big if, PJ Walker's a legitimate sale. So we've got 4 targets, 3 targets, 9 targets. So, it hasn't been super high end, but he's clearly been, the snap counts are there. I mean, he went from 45, then Robbie Anderson's traded to 86 and 92% snap counts. So, I mean, he's a part of this offense. I guess the question is, do you have faith in this offense and PJ Walker? And I'm not there yet. I mean, I'm getting there. I'd probably go with Slayton because I think he's a high floor play. Thank you, Joe Haber, former teammate here at Football Diehards. Tank 1 point PPR. I have Mark Andrews picked up likely just in case Andrews doesn't go. Well, according to Andrea, he did not practice and Andrews, and that's not a good sign for me. I can go flex 1 tight end so I can play 2 tight ends. I have Tunyon as well. Would you drop Tunyon for Ingram? No, I wouldn't drop Tunyon. Tunyon's also a top 10 tight end this week, so great matchup for him. And, I think it's going to be a little hit or miss. We rank Tunyon and Ingram 10 and 11, Tunyon ahead. My hunch is Ingram, but either one perfectly suitable. 1 point PPR. I need D Swift, James Conner, or Deion Jackson. I'm going to play Deion Jackson. I'm going to play the healthy one. I forgot to mention while asking to drop Tunyon to add Ingram that I also have Zay Jones possibly starting this week too. Well, then I'd definitely pivot. I mean, I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket. Roger Gutierrez, please help. Flex, Deion Jackson or Josh Palmer. They're both great plays. I'm going to play Zach. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed your question there, Zach. I'll get to it. Roger Gutierrez, because he all capped me. So I got confused. It's okay, Roger. I don't mind. Deion Jackson for me. It's really close. I like Josh Palmer an awful lot in a great matchup. I just think Jackson for the volume. Zach, Dawson Knox, or Zayla likely. Sadly, Kittle is on by. Yes, it is sad. Just based on the news we're hearing about Andrews not practicing at all, I'm going to lean towards Isaiah Likely at the moment. I think Dawson Knox is fine any given week, but also there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. You're kind of counting on him to be one of the bigger mouths. The Rams activated Ronnie Rivers from their practice squad, but did not activate Kyron Williams. His return will wait at least 1 more week. So there we have that, everybody. Still waiting to hear what they're going to do with Cam Akers. Don't know. Got a few more minutes here. I'll try to squeeze in as many as I can before I have to get off this because I got the cable guy coming to fix my cables so I can get off this damn phone. All right. Anyway, the answer to that, Zach, is likely as things stand right now. Watch the injury report. Should be out in a couple hours. Tua or Burrow. I'm playing Tua there this week. Thank you. Andrew's not practicing. Yes. Excellent quality. Thank you, Dame. I appreciate that. A Tavern and Bob need 2 in a non-PPR 100-yard bonus out of Swift, Edwards, Deion Jackson, and Pittman. I'm going with Deion Jackson. And I'm probably playing Foreman over Jamal Williams, but it's pretty close. Closer than I would think. Or I would have thought. Jamal Williams has been really good, right? But Foreman, just workload. Chuba Hubbard's ruled out in case you missed that. So, flex, DeAndre Swift, Rondale Moore, Josh Palmer. I feel like Josh Palmer is the safest play here for me. B3 solo. But I mean, obviously, we know the upside of Swift, right? We also know, where he's at right now. He's just not healthy. And yes, Rondale Moore, I see you now. He was invisible to me for much of the season. He's not now, but still not playing him over Palmer. Derek, full PPR, Allen, Andrew, Swift, Boyd for Lamar, CMC, Ertz. That's a trade? like I think that's I get why you do that. I don't think I'm not against doing that. I want CMC as bad as anybody, and I agree with the schedule on Lamar. Derek, so I'll rubber stamp that if you would like. Derek may ask him for DJ Moore also, but I don't know if he'd go for it. I would ask it, but I mean, again, getting CMC and Ertz, it's a fine trade. My hunch on Mark Andrews is he sits because they have a bye next week. That would be my hunch as well. Now that we know he did not practice today, James Robinson hasn't been ruled out yet. That's what I thought. I did not see the ruled out. I just saw the questionable. Assuming DeAndre Swift, says Jason Wilson, goes this weekend, would you trust him over Gabe Davis in a PPR? Probably would not. I would probably prefer. And I don't trust Gabe Davis. You heard me earlier. It's totally hit and miss with him. It's also totally hit and miss with DeAndre Swift, who is not healthy. I think Hines will be more of a help for a title run. He'll be Pollard to Elliott. I think so too. And it starts this week. We'll see if it starts, we'll see if it starts this week. And it may well, right? But, but I agree with that overall assessment. Bob B says, hi, Bob. Running back Gibson. James Robinson has a knee issue, but still questionable. Yes, I've just checked 20 tweets, and that's all correct. Harbaugh also said because of the team's best interest, he won't be giving out any info on Gus or okay. Of course not. Okay, so running back Gibson, Khalil Herbert, or Deion Jackson. I'd probably slightly lean to Jackson. Wouldn't talk you out of Herbert. Rondale Moore or Palmer. I'm playing Palmer. Darth Tua non-point. I'm playing Everett in the flex. I see from okay. Should I trade Kamara for Herbert or Kamara and Herbert for Brady and Eckler? Yes. Rashad White got dropped in half-point PPR. White likely or Tony. Well, White might be one of those running backs that wins you something down the stretch if something happens to Fournette. Probably White to me, but likely as well. Is Pacheco replacing CAH? He started ahead of him last week, but didn't. It's a three-way split. Has Hunt lost value? He's not playing up to my expectations. I don't know if he's lost value. Do you listen to guys sleeping? We have been known to do that, Mr. Gus. Mooney or MVS, half-point PPR. I'm going to play Mooney there. Jeff Cooper, I'm currently playing Carr and a combo of Taysom Hill and Dulich as my tight end. Should I trade Jamar Chase for Brady and Schultz? Currently 3 and 5. Should I trade Jamar Chase? No, you should not. You should look for more return for Chase is what you should do. Traded Brian Robinson Jr. for George Pickens. I think the Pickens upside for Pickens is fine. I think I'm going to run out of time before I get to all these questions. So anyway, let me see if I can get any more in here. Traded more. Think about if Connors plays, who do I sit in half-point PPR from Foreman, Jamal Williams, or Connor? If I play Connor, then I must drop one from Robinson. I would play Foreman, Jamal Williams, both ahead of Connor. Ooh. Chidobe Awuzie on IR for the Bengals. That's good news for opponents. All right. I've got to get off because the cable guy's coming to fix my cable, and I'm just getting notifications from my carrier that I've almost overblown my mobile hotspot usage. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Sorry, skipped. What do you think about playing both Swift and Jamal Williams? I prefer not to, but you could. What you drop M. Gordon to play Algier over either of them? I would play. I prefer not to play unhealthy guys, right? So would I drop Melvin Gordon to play Algier over one of them? I mean, it's a 1 week play. If you need to win desperately this week, yes. I mean, if you're playing for the rest of the season, if your lineup's pretty good, I think Algier is going to lose value at some point based on the return of Cordell Patterson. DJ Moore and Olave plugged in, need Josh Palmer. I'd probably still play Kirk and Pittman over Josh Palmer, but I like Josh Palmer a lot. All right, everybody, I've run out of time. I'm plumb up against the wall. The cable guy's going to get here and come set me straight. And besides, my mobile hotspot's about to run out of gigabytes any minute here. So I got to go. Have a great week. Tune in tonight, 9 p.m. right here on the Football Diehards YouTube channel for Jamie Calandro and Eric Romoff. They'll run you through it, and they'll also answer questions as well if I missed any of your